This is the Louie T Network.
If it's a win for us and it's going to make us stronger, no doubt about it. I'll take any phone calls. I cannot see us really moving up, but I can see us going back, not just in the first round, but even second, third, or fourth round moving back. You know, I got a lot of people, other GMs that I'm really close with that I traded with before. And if I can add more young, good football players, definitely. It's about competition. It's about adding good young football players to this roster, and the best man wins.
The Redskins Report. Welcome, all my fellow Redskin brethren and sisters. I am your man and resident Redskins fan, Lou. Thank you for joining me here, Redskins Report. 2016 NFL Draft in the books. Your man Louie T had a chance to look at the entire draft of the Washington Redskins, our beloved Washington Redskins, and I'm here to analyze this draft and talk about how I feel about the draft after having a chance to digest all of these selections. So we'll get to that a little bit later on, but first and foremost, house cleaning to do. A lot of you Redskin fans out there were very disappointed with the way the draft was executed by our GM, Scott McCloughan. So I have to come to his defense here because I saw a lot of mean tweets. There were some mean-spirited tweets out there, man. One dude said, hey, Scott need to put the bottle down. I'm like, whoa. What's with the personal attacks? We all family here, man. What's going on? What are we doing here, family? So it was a lot of people upset with the way the draft was executed. And look, I get it. I understand. There were some talented football players that we passed on, okay? But you gotta take a lot of things into consideration. I'm gonna run through a couple of things, and then we're gonna jump into this draft. So, first things first, okay? Yes, I agree. We passed on a number of talented football players 2 and 3 times over in this draft. There were some guys sitting there that I'm like, man, I'd love to take this guy right here, man. This is the perfect spot. I actually think this is great value that we could have taken this guy in the 3rd round, in the 4th round, but we passed. So there were opportunities. We traded back a couple of times. Look, that's Scott McCloughan. You know how he operates. We picked up some assets for 2017. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. But we drafted some other guys that maybe you thought we didn't need. Look, when you build a football team, that's what we're building now. This is no longer the show that it used to be, the sideshow that it used to be, the clown car that this used to be. Okay, this is an actual NFL outfit. This is how you run a franchise. You don't just run it for the current year. You don't just run it for the current roster. You're building a team that can sustain itself over the long haul. When you do that, you draft for future years as well. You don't just draft what's going to make us better this coming year. Of course, when you draft the 1st round pick, when you draft the 2nd round pick, when you draft the 3rd round pick, you want these guys to come in and produce right now. And I think every single one of the guys that we drafted in the first 3 rounds can come in and contribute right away. So that's not a problem. But when you get to the 4th and the 5th and the 6th and the 7th round, you're looking for guys that are going to help build your roster for years to come. Maybe it's a couple of developmental projects down the road that you say, okay, stash these guys away on the practice squad, let them learn. They may be able to contribute in 2 years from down the road. Or you draft a couple of guys that are going to be core special teamers, whatever the case may be. In this draft, there were a couple of opportunities in the mid rounds, especially the 4th round when we traded back to get some guys, and you were upset that we didn't draft. Mainly Andrew Billings, maybe a running back. I saw Devontae Booker, on the board, running back out of Utah, that I would have loved for us to scoop up, but that's nor here nor there. Fact of the matter is, we didn't take those guys, and the way the draft was executed was the way that our organization saw fit to go out and execute the draft. Now, I want you to think about these things that I'm about to lay on you. You may not agree with all of them, but these are just different rationales for why the draft went down the way it was, because I actually like the draft. And after sitting down, looking at these picks and what these guys bring to the table, no, this wasn't a typical Scotty Mack draft where you got 10 players, 9 players, 11 players. That wasn't this draft, okay? And for all of the depth that was in this draft, you'll look around the league and see a lot of teams had 5, 6, 7 player draft because teams were trading away picks in future drafts to come up and get guys that they like in this draft because it was so deep. So we're not the only team that didn't come away with 9 picks. You know, the Cleveland Browns got 14 picks. Okay, they need 14 picks. We don't need 14 picks. So let me explain some things. First and foremost, Scott McCloughan, all of his scouts, director of player personnel, and all those guys, this is a year-round job for them. They didn't just wake up yesterday and say, okay, we want to take this guy. No, this is a job that they've been working tirelessly at year-round to get this board set up the way. And just because a couple of guys slide or whatever, again, I always tell you that the board is going to dictate how your draft goes. If Josh Doctson was gone, then we would have made a different selection. But guess what? Their board was set up, and at the top of their board was Josh Doctson, okay? Now, of course, there are other positions and other players that were ahead of him on the board, but most of those guys were gone. And they didn't expect Josh Doctson to be there in the first round. So you know what they did? They said, wow, we've got an opportunity to get a guy that can help us not only this year, but think about next year, 2017, Deshaun Jackson, contract up. Pierre Garçon, contract up. Now, we might sign both of those guys back. I seriously doubt that, okay? We may get one of those guys back if we're lucky next year, probably Deshaun Jackson. But look, at the end of the day, both of those guys will not be back on this roster next year when it's all said and done. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you need a wide receiver and you're out there looking for one either in the market or you're in the draft looking for a big-time receiver. Guess what? Receivers don't grow on trees. You can't tell because this draft was so deep in other positions that the best receiver in my mind in this entire draft fell to us at 21. We traded back and still got him at 22. You can't ask for it to fall any better to you than that. So we took advantage of an opportunity, got us a receiver that I think is going to be one of the best receivers in the league in about 3 years from now. And so he gets to learn behind 2 of the better receivers in the league. And you look at Pierre Garçon and all the traits and things he brings to the table. That's a great guy from the list learn from because he's going to block, he's going to work hard, and those are all traits and characteristics you want instilled in Josh Doctson at the next level. So I couldn't think of a better guy for him to be an understudy under than Pierre Garçon. So I think that's great that he's allowed to learn. The pressure's not going to be on him this year. He gets to learn the offense, and in year 2, he'll be ready to rock and roll when those guys are no longer here, or at least one of them isn't here anymore. He'll be ready to step in and be the guy for us in DC next year. So that's the first round pick. Second round pick, Louie Cravens, I thought had a third round grade on him, but look, in this league, okay, when you look around at the elite defenses in this league, they all have one thing in common: athleticism defensively. Something that we currently lack, okay? You want to be an elite defense, you need to have more. I've been crying, literally crying, okay? Crying ice tears in my cereal, in my milk, about us not having enough team speed defensively, all right? So you look at Seattle, they got speed, athleticism, dripping and oozing from every nook and cranny on that defense. You look at the St. Louis Rams or Los Angeles Rams now, they got athleticism on the bench, chilling. They're not even using. I mean, there's athletes everywhere on that defense. You look at the Denver Broncos who won the Super Bowl, the Carolina Panthers who played in that Super Bowl against them. There are athletes everywhere on those football teams. Where's our athletes at defensively? You can't name them because they're not there. So when you go out and get a guy like Louie Cravens, he's going to come in and instantaneously going to upgrade the athleticism defensively for us. And so I love the pick. He's a guy that you can move him around as a chess piece defensively. I think he's going to be our strong safety starting day one. And I expect him on third down to drop down and over the slot potentially, or in cover 3 situations. I think we're going to run a lot of cover 3 with Josh Norman on one side, and Vitamin B on the other side. We're going to ask him to come down in that Cam Chancellor role where he's right around the line of scrimmage, 5, 6, 7 yards away from the line of scrimmage, being an enforcer, running around, hitting guys, cleaning stuff up, making plays, picking passes off, checking tight ends underneath, checking running backs out of the backfield. He's going to be everywhere, and I love it. So I think that's a really good pick because we needed someone that could come in and be a very good athlete defensively for us and give us a little shot in the arm defensively in terms of athleticism. We've got a bunch of smart guys on defense. We don't have a lot of athletes on defense. Now we do have an athlete. You had Josh Norman, that's another athlete. You got Vitamin B, that's another athlete. Julian Gillette coming back off injury. That's another athlete. All of a sudden now, this defense is starting to look a lot more athletic than it did just 2 weeks ago. So I love the pick in the second round of Sewell Craters, because if we would have waited to the third round, probably would not have been there, okay? So, and he already said, I think the Patriots were going to take me with one of their second round picks. Patriots had 2 second round picks to end the second round. He wasn't going to make it out. Look, that's the type of player Bill Belichick loves, a guy that can play multiple positions, can do multiple things. Sewell Craters wasn't going to be there for us in the third round. So we needed to act when we did. We got this player. I feel good about it. Let's move on to the third round pick. Kendall Fuller, cornerback. Okay, we take a corner, and you know what this is about. Okay, this is a guy that a lot of people regarded as a first-round talent, despite the injury. You know, and without the injury, he's probably a first-round pick in a draft for corners. We saw about 4 or 5 corners come off the board in the first round. He would have been a part of that group. So you think it's good value there, getting a guy like Kendall Fuller, but then we know what this was more so about. This is about getting rid of a bad contract in Chris Culliver, a guy that wasn't going to live up to the standards that we had set for him with that contract that we allowed him to sign just a year ago. And so they wanted to recoup that money. They had an exit ramp to get out, and so this was their chance to get out of that. So when you go out and get a guy like Josh Norman and you give him the type of money we gave him, the money that we're paying Kirk, the money that we're paying Deshaun, and we're paying Pierre, you got to start cutting bait somewhere, and that was one of those areas. You got some cheap labor here in the third round corner. You got Josh Norman out there. You got Vitamin B. You feel like you got some depth at corner. You still got Dunbar out there. As far as I'm concerned, we're fine at cornerback. So you cut bait here, get rid of the dead weight that is Chris Culliver, and that's why that selection was made in the third round. And this is where it gets tricky. This is where a lot of you had some discrepancies with the draft. Fourth round. We trade out of there, allow the Jets to come up, get a player that they like, and we move out of the fourth round altogether, don't have a fourth round pick. And we pick up some assets for 2017. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But there were some guys there, okay? So Andrew Billings was sitting right there. You know how I felt about Andrew Billings. And I'm going to talk about the defensive line here in a second. And then we're going to move on to the draft in its totality. But, okay, so no Andrew Billings pick there. All right, we all liked a number of backs, whether you were a Devontae Booker guy, you were an Alex Collins guy, you know, you were a Kenneth Dixon guy, whatever. You could have been a number of, and it was a lot of backs in this draft that I thought, Paul Perkins, there were a number of guys that I felt like you could have taken here and they would have came in and upgraded our running back position. But we didn't do that, okay? So here's the defensive line conversation. And Matt Ioannidis, we ended up taking him in the 5th round. Scott McCloughan made it clear that 5th round, 4th round, 5th round, there was depth in this draft on the defensive line to the point where they felt like they could wait a while before they went out and attacked the defensive line. So, as a fan, we look at the defensive line and we see it as broken. It needs to be fixed, right? That's the way we all view the defensive line. But what if they don't view the defensive line as broken? What if we made the defensive line this huge, humongous problem that needed to be fixed? So, no more pot roast, no more Jason Hatcher, and all of a sudden now the line is broken and it needs to be fixed in a major way. That's how we view it, okay? Look, I actually sat down and I analyzed last season and I said, was our run defense that bad? It was bad, okay? And I can think of 3 games in particular where the run defense was putrid, okay? The Atlanta game, horrible. Run defense was horrible in that Atlanta game. Run defense was horrible the next week versus the Jets. Run defense was terrible in the season finale against the Green Bay Packers when we lost in the playoffs, okay? So 3 games to me is when our run defense was shoddy as I don't know what. Every other game I thought we were okay defensively on the ground, okay? We had our moments, but I thought it's not always just the defensive line when you see teams running all over, okay? Guys got to get in their proper fits. Our linebackers didn't do a great job this year. We know about Perry Riley and his struggles early in the season. And right when he started to get on the right track, he got injured and we didn't see him again for the rest of the season. We know about Keenan Robinson and his struggles and why he's no longer a Washington Redskin. We struggle at the linebacker position. So when linebackers aren't filling their correct gaps and filling properly and coming down and doing what they're supposed to do, it impacts everybody, including the defensive line. Now, was our defensive line outstanding and awesome last year? No. But think about it. First year under Joe B. Okay, first year under new defensive coordinator Joe Barry, and we had a lot of first-year guys coming in. So just think about it. A first-year coordinator or a first year under a new coordinator and everybody's trying to figure out what their role is, what their niche is that they're carving out for themselves in this defense. And it's tough. That's a transition that everybody had to make. Ricky John Francois, first year with the Redskins. Same thing can be said for Stephen Paya. Stephen Paya, first year in the defense. Okay, he's coming over from a 4-3 defense, playing the 3-tech. In Chicago, we asking him to play the 5-tech here, and he was a starter in Chicago. We asking him to be a starter, but you platooning here and you playing a 5-tech. It's a different look, and so it's all new to everybody. So yes, there were some struggles, there were some growing pains. Jason Hatcher wasn't healthy. He's never healthy. Okay, I'm glad he retired because he was never healthy. He was always healthy at the beginning of the year. We get 2 good games out of him, and then the rest of the season, this guy's just hanging on and along for the ride. And then when Terrence Knighton, look, you didn't know which pot roach was going to show up. The one with headaches that couldn't focus and was tired and looked like he was drinking NyQuil, or the one that was out there balling, blowing up centers and guards and getting in the backfield and being a disruptive force. You never knew which one you were going to get on game day, and so because of that, he had to move on as well. So, but if you look at this defensive line, just let me run off the defensive linemen that we have currently on the roster. You got Ziggy Hood, who we signed to a futures contract that you forgot about, former first-round pick of the Pittsburgh Steelers, okay? So he's on the roster right now. We're going to see if we can get anything out of a former first-round pick. Kendrick Golston, the old Wily vet, still hanging on in year 10, the longest tenured Redskin on the roster currently, is still there. Ricky John Francois is on the roster, year 2 of Freaky Ricky, and I think that he's going to be better. We saw flashes from him last year. I think he's going to be even better in year 2. Now he's comfortable in the scheme and knows what he's being asked to do. Chris Baker, Swaggy B, we know what he's about. Okay, 6 sacks, career year for him. Going into a contract season, I think the best is yet to come for Swaggy B. Stephen Paya, gonna be better. I think he's gonna be a lot better in year 2 because he was banged up, and when he wasn't banged up, when he was healthy, he wasn't that effective. But I think, again, big change for him, different scheme. You're asking him to do different things. I think he'll be a lot more comfortable in year 2 of this scheme under Joe B. Kendall Reyes, went out and got him from San Diego. First 2 seasons in the league, the guy was a dominant force up front defensively for San Diego. Last 2 seasons, not so much. He's looking to get back to his form that he had in his first 2 seasons. And guess who was his defensive coordinator? And one of the guys, well, it wasn't his defensive coordinator, but guess who was one of the coaches over there that knows what this guy can do? Yeah, you guessed it. It was Joe B. So, again, you're getting a guy in Kendall Reyes who's hungry. 1-year deal. That's it. 1-year deal. So guess what he's playing for? He's playing for the bread. Okay? He's playing for the cheese, right? So he's going to go out and give us the best effort he can because he's looking to get paid. Then you add in a guy like Corey Crawford, who's a young boy out of Clemson that we got last year that was drafted from by another team, didn't make their roster. We scooped him up, put him on the practice squad. This is a young fella, and I'm gonna tell you right now, very talented football player, man. So that's another 5-tech that you can throw into the mix and jumble it up. And then we got Matt Ioannidis now, okay, that we just drafted in the 5th round, and I'm about to talk about in a little while. Love this guy, love what he brings to the table. So the defensive line is not as broken as everybody thinks. We just assumed that that was top priority for the ball club and that that's what they were going to address first. You know why we thought that? Because we listen, and this is why I tell y'all, don't listen to all the noise outside because it's loud out there. And if you listen to it enough, you start believing everything you hear. Because everybody, look, we watched our boys last year, right? We watched and we saw us get gashed on the ground at times, but I was more concerned about the pass rush. Okay, I thought our run defense was shoddy at best, but it wasn't terrible. We weren't the New Orleans Saints last year. Teams weren't just running up in our spot and doing whatever the hell they wanted to. We still had respect on the ground. It just wasn't dominant. We weren't going out and dominating teams on the ground. We still got a shot to do that, and I don't think our defensive line was as broken as we assumed. And now I just told you about all the guys that we got in the mix. They don't think it's broken like we did, and so they didn't go out and address it the way that we thought they should have. So just think about it from that perspective as well. But also, and this is my last thing, and then we're going to get into the draft, Scott McCloughan, he's building for the future. And next year's draft is going to be a very top-heavy draft. I don't know where we're going to end up. Hopefully we win another division and go further in the playoffs this year. And we in the back half of the first round yet again. That's a comfortable spot. I like being in the back half of the first round. You know why? Because that means we're a winning outfit. We're a winning ball club and we get the job done. Okay? But I don't know where we're going to end up, but he treated this draft like an NBA draft, okay? NBA teams, what they do is they acquire assets. They don't know what these assets are gonna be. They just acquire them. You know why it's good to have assets? It allows you flexibility. Next year, we already got 9 draft picks. Chillin', we ready to go, lock and stock. 2 6th-rounders, 2 4th-rounders, we ready to rock and roll, okay? That's called flexibility. You got assets. So guess what? If Scott McCloughan next year sees a guy and we're at pick 24, that means we made it to the playoffs and we made it to the second round, okay? We at pick 24. And we sitting there, or we at least got close to making it to the second round. That's not a guarantee. Normally, if you're at 24, that means you just missed out on the second round. Okay? But anyway, let's just say we're at 24. Okay? We made it to the playoffs, won the division again, but we lost in the first round. And we back here again, same spot. But we at 24 this time. And Scott McCloughan falls in love with a guy that's probably coming off the board in the top 15. And this player slips all the way to pick 14, but that team sitting at 15 probably gonna take him if we don't get up in front of them. So guess what Scott McCloughan now has at his disposal if he wants to go up and go get that guy that he thinks not only can be a game changer that can help us that very season coming up, but for years to come. Guess what he can do? He's got extra assets that he acquired in this year's draft that's gonna allow him to package up a deal that's not gonna kill us, that's going to allow us to move up. He's got an extra 4 and an extra 6. Might have to slide in a 5th round or something like that in exchange for their 5th round and that pick, and you still looking good. Because you still got an extra 6 chilling, you still got an extra 4 chilling, and you might swap a 5 with them. Sounds good to me. Let's get that pick. So, again, those are the things you afford yourself when you go out and get extra assets. That's all we got. We got extra assets next year's draft. It allows us some flexibility to move up if we feel the need to. And if we need to move back, we can still move back. So flexibility was gained by the moves we made in this year's draft. Again, it was so deep that you can move back and you still got a hell of a pickup in the 5th round in Matt Ioannidis. So let's jump into the draft. I hope you feel better about what we've done. They didn't think the defensive line was as bad as we did. It just wasn't. And now that I look at the roster and what we've done, I don't think it's that bad either. And I think guys are gonna play better this year. Just like Matt Jones. Who? Matt Jones. We all assume, oh man, we need to go out and get a running. Matt Jones was a rookie last year, man. He was a young boy last year. Okay? Just think of it like this. How many times have you done something in your life the first time and it didn't go right? And you felt like, man, the hell with that, I'm not doing that again. And then the second time you did it, you're like, damn, that was a lot easier than the first time. And then the next time you did it, you're like, man, I got this and this thing works awesome. The first time I used the power drill, I'm like, man, this power drill don't work. This is garbage. My dad said, man, you're using it wrong. Show me how to use it. I used it the second time and I'm like, damn, this thing is much easier than me manually screwing this damn screw in. It's because I didn't know how to use it. A lot of these guys we had last year, we didn't know how to use them. We're going to fix it this year. They're going to be much better. That includes Matt Jones. Who? Matt Jones. So, all I'm saying is be patient, man. Scott is building a bully over here. You got to allow the man to work. Allow the man to do his job. He's damn good at his job. And in case you haven't noticed, everybody's praising us for our draft this year. And for good reason. And I'm about to tell you why. Let's jump into this draft. First round, 22nd pick overall. Redskins select wide receiver Josh Doctson out of TCU. Now, I'm not going to break him down because I've already done so. I'm going to tell you the benefits of this pick. And we're going to move on to our second round pick. But Josh Doctson, for me, you know how I felt about him going into the process. You know how I felt about him going into the draft. I told you that this guy, to me, was the best receiver in this draft class. I had him rated on my board as the highest rated receiver in this draft class because I love the different things that he brought to the table. His size, I've been crying for a wide receiver his size for a long time. I've been saying that we lack size. The biggest receiver we've had in the last 15 years was Leonard Hankerson. And what did Leonard Hankerson do for us? Okay? I mean, he didn't even play big. Okay? So I was looking for a big guy that would go up, make plays on the football. And as Jay Gruden always says, he's going to make the quarterback right. And I love guys that make the quarterback right. You throw the football up there, it's a 50-50 ball, and he's going up there and getting it. And as he said it himself, if the quarterback's throwing the ball to me, then I should be the one to catch it. Nobody else. That's my ball. He threw it to me, right? So I should be the one that catches it. And that's the mentality that he has when he's out there. So he's making plays, strong hands, can go up and get the football. There's a lot to love with Josh Doctson, and I think he's got a chance to be a nuke type in this league. okay? For those of you who don't know who Nuke is, DeAndre Hopkins for the Houston Texans, go look him up. That's to me what Josh Doctson has the ability to be in this league in 2 years. He can be that kind of playmaker for us. And I think the sky's the limit for this guy. And the beauty is we don't have to rush him along. He could be the third option this year. Jamison Crowder's in there. Just think about it like this. If you got a problem with this pick, think about it like this. Pierre Garçon, Deshaun Jackson, Josh Doctson, Jamison Crowder, Jordan Reed, and you can sprinkle in a little bit of Vernon Davis if you like. How's the defense going to stop that all at once? You tell me. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know why. Stop asking. So we just built a monster for the 2016 season, and I think Josh Doctson is only going to get better as time progresses, and he's going to be a big-time playmaker for us moving forward. So that's our first round pick. Second round pick, I think that Sua Cravens, again, Redskins second round pick, 53rd overall, select safety / linebacker Sua Cravens out of USC. And I look at this pick and I broke him down already too. So if you want to see thorough analysis of Sua Cravens, you're going to have to go look at my Draft Prospects 101 video that I've done on both he and Josh Doctson. But here's the skinny on Sua Cravens. I basically talked about it earlier, that this is a guy that's going to come in and he's going to help us be more athletic on defense. He's a guy that you can move around. And this is what the league is moving to, because it's such a passing league now, that you see guys that are all over the field, and that maybe they used to be a safety, now they're up at linebacker. You need guys like that. And the flexibility that he affords us reminds me a lot of the flexibility that we got out of the young Hokie last year in Kakai. You know, Kashawn Jarrett, he really helped us out last year, a guy that was a safety, but he also filled that role at Virginia Tech. He was at safety, come down and play that roving position, that hybrid safety linebacker position at Vatech. We asked him to do a lot of that same thing here in DC last year, and we also asked him to drop over the slot and play slot corner and some nickel for us, and he was fantastic. Those are the kind of guys that we need to be added to our football team, and we just added another one in Sua Cravens. So I feel like, you know, our defense just got exponentially better in just 2 weeks' time. I mean, just think about all the things that we've done over the last 2 weeks, and then some of the additions that we're getting back to our football team. I mean, we're going to have so much flexibility if guys just stay healthy. I don't like talking about guys that don't normally stay healthy, like the safety that got injured at the beginning of the season last year. A guy that I absolutely love, but he's never healthy, but he's coming back off an injury. You got the pass rusher, Junior Gillette, coming off of injury. I mean, that's some explosion right there. So you think about all of the things that we've added. Josh Norman on the outside, now Sua Cravens on the inside. There is a lot of talented football players being influxed into this defense, and all of a sudden now this defense isn't looking half bad. We know what we got offensively, okay? We building a bully over there offensively. We're trying to do the same thing on the defensive side of football. Sua Cravens is going to be a big part of that moving forward, and I love the selection of Sua Cravens in the second round. Go to the third round. Kendall Fuller, third round selection. Redskins with the 84th pick in the 2016 NFL Draft select cornerback out of Virginia Tech, Kendall Fuller. So let's talk about Kendall Fuller, because when we first made this pick, I was extremely excited, you know, and this is another one of those situations where I tell you, go do your homework for yourself. And if you're not going to do the homework, well, let me do the homework and then listen to me. So I'm all about go do your own homework though. So don't let me tell you how you should feel about it, dude. You feel how you want to feel about it, dude. Because you went out and did your own homework, your own research. And when you don't do your homework, you got to rely on the Mel Kipers of the world. You got to rely on the Todd McShays of the world, the Mike Mayocks of the world, and all of those guys, okay? And what can happen is you can become brainwashed, because it's groupthink. One guy says it, so then the next guy says it, because he don't feel like doing his own homework. So he just repeats and regurgitates what the last guy just said. And then next thing you know, we get 50 guys down the line, and now all of a sudden this guy's going to the Hall of Fame. Because everybody else said that this guy's a first round can't miss prospect. Well, why? Why is he a first round can't miss prospect? Let's talk about Kendall Fuller, because everybody told me he's a first round corner. So I just ran with it. I bit the bait, I ate the cheese, and I fell into the trap. And then I went and watched the tape, and I'm like, first round corner? Where you see a first round corner? So I'm gonna give you the skinny on our 3rd round selection, Kendall Fuller out of Virginia Tech. His pros, 5'11", 187 pounds, not a big guy. I'm gonna come back to that a little bit later on, but that's his size. He's a long, active corner. Say what you want about his weight, he's still a long, active corner, built in terms of the way you look at it and his frame in terms of his arms and his wingspan and his length. It's what you look for in this league. He's got a long, active frame. Outstanding at timing wide receivers' reaction with a rake at the football. So what I mean by that is he'll be in a trail technique. He's running. Okay, so he gets beat off the line of scrimmage. He loves to come up. He doesn't lay hands on you. He lets you off with a free release, but he's up in press coverage. So you get off the line of scrimmage and immediately he's beat off the line. So he's in trail technique and he's running. And what he likes to do is he likes to react to what the receiver is doing. So if that receiver is looking for the ball and he puts his arm up, once he sees that reaction from the receiver, he times it up to where he starts raking at your arm, raking at the ball. He does a really good job of forcing it out in that situation. Now, if you get a guy like we had in the Tanner man that is great at reacting very late to the football when the ball is literally almost there, then Santana will go boom and catch it. If he has that late reaction, then Kendall Fuller's going to get beat because he's not going to know when the ball's coming. But when he does see that reaction from the receiver, he does a great job of raking at the football and at the arm and forcing the ball to be incomplete. Tremendous ball skills. When he does locate the football, the dude can go get it, okay? That's the thing I love about him is if we put him in positions to succeed, this young man can come in and be a stud for us. When his eyes are on quarterback and he locates football, he's very dangerous because he goes after the football like it's his. He has tremendous ball skills, can climb the ladder, go up for the football, pluck it out of the air, really good hands, make plays. So I love his ball skills when he does actually locate the football. Effective blitzer. He's a guy that blitzes at Virginia Tech, goes turn on the Purdue game, chases the quarterback all the way from the backside, forces the football out. They scoop and score with it. He can come after the quarterback. You can put him in a number of different situations, ask him to try to get to the quarterback. And from the nickel, I think that's what we're going to try to do with him is put him at the nickel position. I think we want to leave Vitamin B on one side, Josh Norman, Jay Nutso on the other side, and we'd love to put this young fella in the slot. And I think as a slot corner, you can have him mugging the slot. And in that snap, have him take off, go after the quarterback. I think he's a tremendous blitzer from the slot. Will support in the run game. Is he one of these guys looking for work? No, he's not. And as a matter of fact, if he gets engaged in the block and the guy that's a receiver is actually a really good blocker and takes pride in his craft as a blocker, you're not going to see this man making many plays. Once he gets engaged with a guy that is physical, that can block, he's not getting off of that block. In fact, you can run him all the way to the sideline. I told you he's 187. Very light in the pants, light in the draws. You can pick this man up and redirect him any way you want to, in any direction you want to. So he will come up and cut you though. If he gets an opportunity, he'll come up, chop them legs from under you. Again, you know what the corners like to do, man. They ain't trying to come up, and they shouldn't, because they're not physical enough, especially when you're 5'11", 187. You don't need to be trying to tackle nobody up in here, man. That's how you get ran over. He's coming to cut you. If you jump over him, you might get him, but he'll come down and he'll cut you down from below. And again, I'm all about shooting the cuffs, man. All right, you 187, shoot them damn cuffs, man. You can't go nowhere without your legs. So I'm all about it. But that's what he does in the run game. Bloodlines, of course. He's got three other brothers. He's the fourth and final brother to make it to the NFL, which is unprecedented. You don't see that very often where you got 4 brothers, all of them making it to the league. He's the last of the 4, and if you ask any of the brothers, they'll all tell you he's the best of the 4. So there's a lot to like there. And NFL scouts and in that community, they love family bloodlines, guys that have it in their DNA where they see brothers go into the league, or a dad or a cousin or an uncle. They love that kind of thing because it means you know what it takes to get it done, and you have it in you. It's in your DNA. You can get it done at the next level. You just need to be coached up. Can play multiple coverages is the final pro. He's a guy that can play up. I've seen him press. I've seen him play off. I've seen him play in the trail technique. I've seen him do a number of things. Zone coverage, eyes on the quarterback. I've seen him play man-to-man. You name it, he's done it. I've seen him play in the slot. I've seen him play out wide. I've seen him play a little bit of safety, at times. So he's been all over the field, okay? Trust and believe that you can ask him to do a number of things. He excels in other coverages better than others, but again, The flexibility is there, and as a defensive coordinator, that's all you can ask for, is a guy that can do multiple things on the football field. Now let's go to his cons, because some of these cons outweigh the pros that I just named, and it really frustrated me to no end. Okay, first things first, smallest frame, 5'11", 187. I don't mind the height, 5'11", that's fine. I don't have a problem with that at all. Okay, he's got a long wingspan, that's great. 187 though, that's a little light, man. That's a little light, but if you're gonna put this guy in a slot and not outside, I'll take it all day long. Because that 187 means nothing when you're covering Victor Cruz. Victor Cruz, so you're covering Victor Cruz. When you're covering those type of dudes in the slot that's shifty and small, you need a guy that's small, just like them, that can get around and be just as agile and quick as them and get there and make some plays. So if he's in the slot, I don't have any problem with his frame whatsoever. High back pedal. This is a problem for me, because for a guy that likes to come up and press and get in your face and delete the airspace, and he wants to be here in your grill, I want that guy to have a smooth back pedal. I need to see that transition from back pedal to full out sprint. I want it to be smooth, silky smooth, and easy and effortless, all right? His back pedal is so high and so choppy and disoriented that it cost him a few steps. There's a lot of wasted motion from him turning from back pedal to full out sprint. That's why he's always in the damn trail technique, because his back pedal is so damn high and he's so out of sorts that when he goes to turn, he wastes a bunch of motion. It's not tight and clean and efficient. He wastes motion just trying to get from his back pedal. Next thing you know, the receiver done took 2 steps. Now you're in the trail technique and you have no idea where the football is. Speaking of which, doesn't locate the football, the trail technique is the next con. For the life of me, you know how I feel about my cornerbacks. When you don't know where the football is, guess what you can't do? Guess! I'm gonna give you one guess. When you don't know where the football is, what can't you do? Make a damn play on it. How you gonna catch something if you don't know where the hell it's at? So he gets beat off the line of scrimmage and then he starts turning and running and he's too scared to look for the football. I don't know where it is. Don't ask me. Okay, I know where the receiver is, and I'm gonna just keep running until I can't run anymore. Until I see him look like he about to catch the football, then I'm gonna face guard the hell out of him. Well, guess what you about to get on that, partner? You about to get a PI for that, man. They pulling out the yellow hanky and throwing it on the field because you didn't locate the football, because you were in trail technique, because you got a high back pedal, because you let the receiver get 2 steps on you and were afraid to locate the football while it was in flight. So I worry about him coming up and getting in somebody's face, getting smoked off the line of scrimmage and getting beat down the field, and him not being, and he's a grabby dude. He'll grab you. You beat him, and you coming out of a break, he starts grabbing cloth and all kinds of nonsense. They let him get away with it at Virginia Tech. Go watch the Ohio State game from 2014. One of his best games. You hear people, Scott McClone himself said he was locking receivers down in that Ohio State win on the road at the Horseshoe last year, 2 years ago in 2014. Go watch that game. Go see how grabby he was, and they were letting him get away with a lot of nonsense in that football game. He got lucky that JT Barrett was funky in that game, or else he could have gotten exposed in that game. So there's some things that I'm not totally sold with Kendall Fuller. And then of course the last con, knee surgery, okay? He tore his meniscus in his knee. That led to him needing microfracture surgery. He didn't even know he needed that. He tried to go out and play with the torn meniscus first 3 games. That's why I totally wiped the first 3 games of 2015 out of my memory bank. I don't even want to see that, because that's not the Kendall Fuller that we're getting. Okay, I'm hoping, I'm praying that we're getting the Kendall Fuller from 2013. The guy that walked on to Virginia Tech as a true freshman and started. That's the guy I'm hoping we get. Not the guy that played in 2015 on one knee. Because that guy got smoked in the Ohio State opener in 2015. If you go watch that tape, you're going to say, how the hell did we select this guy? Don't go watch that stuff. That's nasty. That stuff doesn't count. Don't go watch that. That's contaminated tape. Okay? The Purdue game in 2015, they played some other school that I didn't. Don't watch none of that tape. It doesn't matter. Go watch the 2014 tape. Go watch the 2013 tape. That's what you need to see with this dude. And I'm going to tell you right now, if we can get him back to full strength, and Scott McClone said, look, if he didn't pass the medical, if we thought he was a medical liability, we'd have took him off the board. So they feel confident that he'll be back. And look, with microfracture surgery, it's different for everybody. Microfracture scares you because we've seen athletes never be the same from microfracture surgery, but we've also seen guys come back from microfracture surgery. So it's not impossible And him being a smaller guy at 187, his knee should be able to respond a little bit better to microfracture surgery than a guy that's 275 pounds coming off of microfracture surgery. It's a lot different when you're putting a lot more stress on that knee. So I feel good that he can come back. The question is, how are we going to utilize this guy? Are we going to allow him to be in some zone coverage, eyes on the quarterback, being able to see the football in flight and make a play on it? Or are we going to ask him to come up, challenge receivers in man-to-man coverage where I think he struggles a bit? High back pedal, not a great technician. I question some of the things that he's going to bring to the table. So if we put him in positions to succeed, I love this pick of Kendall Fuller in the 3rd round. If we put him in some positions where he's a liability, you can see this dude getting smoked. Much like our boy last year in Will Blackman. A lot of trail technique for Will Blackman. All we saw was 41 running, flailing arms in the air, looking to get smoked down the field. We can see a repeat of that if Kendall Fuller isn't healthy, 1, and isn't put in positions to succeed. 2, he's got to get better at his craft. If he gets better, the talent is undeniable, okay? The kid is talented. You're not going to hear me say that. The dude is talented. Now it's all about getting that talent and molding it into the type of football player that can help us win on Sundays. We'll see. But that's Kendall Fuller in a nutshell. You move on to the 5th round selection of the Washington Redskins. 5th round, 152nd pick overall. The Redskins select defensive lineman Matt Ioannidis out of Temple. This is a pick that I absolutely love. Love it! Love this pick. And so you want to know why they picked him versus picking Andrew Billings? Let me just tell you this in a nutshell. Andrew Billings is a 2-down player. Look, you're not going to get me to talk bad about Andrew Billings. I would have still took his ass in a heartbeat in the 3rd round, in the 4th round, in the 5th round. But he wasn't in the 5th round. But you get my picture. I would have loved to have had Andrew Billings. 2-down player or not, he collapses the pocket, okay? You can still have him in on 3rd down and say, hey, Andrew, don't worry about swim moving or trying to be a finesse. Just bull rush the damn pocket. Bulldozer. Knock this pocket down, man. Don't give this quarterback nowhere to step up at. And he would have did that. So I don't know why he only has to be a 2-down player, but whatever. Okay, fine. We didn't pick him. So my thing is, the problem that the Redskins had last year, we had a bunch of 2-down players, okay? Pop Rose was a 2-down player. Jason Hatcher didn't give us much in the form of pass rush. He was a 2-down player. Remember that Green Bay game? That one sticks out like a sore thumb for me. And remember the Green Bay game? Packers couldn't do nothing offensively. We were dominating. We were up 11-0. They haven't gotten a 1st down, don't have a 1st down to their name yet. 3rd and 5. Guess what? They get their first down. It really jump-started their offense, and after that, they never looked back. Guess what they got their first down on? If you watch the game, you remember. You can remember like it was yesterday. Got it off a goddamn offside penalty, or too many men on the field penalty, excuse me, where guys are trying to get off the field, we trying to sub dudes out because we don't have the right personnel on the field. And of course, Aaron Rodgers, being the quarterback that he is, saw us trying to substitute, got his guys up to the line quick, snap football, got 12 men on the field. 1st down, they never looked back. We couldn't stop them after that, it seemed like. And from that point on, they got us with that too many men on the field penalty like 3 times in the game. So when you draft a guy like Matt Ioannidis, you stop all of that because he can play all 3 downs, right? So I get where they were coming from. This is a league where you got to have 3-down football players. Can't have guys that got to come off the field. I will say this about Andrew Billings. You don't want him on the field for too many snaps. He gets tired, and when he gets tired, he's useless. He's rendered ineffective. So a guy like Matt Ioannidis, he doesn't get tired. He gets tired, of course. He's human. But he's not the guy that's going to get tired and not give you anything, right? So you can get more out of Matt Ioannidis. Let's break him down, man. 6'3". 299 pounds. Let's call this man 300 pounds. Let's stop with all the 299 talk. He's 300 pounds, okay? So you're talking about 6'3", 300-pound guy. Agile big man, okay? This is what I said about him at the Combine. Matt Ioannidis, a guy out of Temple, 1.76, 10-second split, 5.04, 40 overall, and with that Temple defense, they were outstanding in 2015. This was a guy that really was huge in their success defensively, and I thought he was good all day long. Really impressive. I mean, for a guy right around 300 pounds, he was picking them up, putting them down. He was moving, and I was surprised at his athletic agility. Sideways movements were great. He didn't waste a lot of motion. All day long, I kept saying to myself, man, Matt Ioannidis has been ultra impressive, and I think he helped himself tremendously at the Combine. So you know that Matt Ioannidis is an athlete. I actually saw him firsthand at the combine, and I said to myself, all the things that I just said, that I was really impressed with Matt Ioannidis and what he brings to the table. I said, man, here's a very athletic big guy, man. So he's an agile big man. That's the next pro. Quickness off the snap. That's one of the first things that jumped out at me watching him. Is he's a guy that he's very. I love big men. First and foremost, I love big men that wear number 9 in college or just single digits on the defensive line. You better be an athlete if you rocking number 9 or you rocking number 7 or you rocking number 1 and you on the defensive line. You better be a beast. You better be a freak defensively. And Matt Ioannidis is very quick off the snap. And he wreaked havoc on that defensive line. Whether it's tackles for losses, pressure on the quarterback, disrupting plays, he's got some quickness off the snap. And here's why, the next pro, here's why that quickness comes into play. Swim, spin move, okay? You don't see this from 300 pounders very often. He's got a beautiful spin move that he times up with the best of them, okay? He will put this spin move on your ass in a heartbeat, put you in a spin cycle. You don't know where the hell he just went, okay? Now that spin will work against him sometimes, but I just love watching him do it. And he's got an equally as effective swim move. Right off the snap, boom, he's beat, okay? Just like that, off the snap, bam, he's here, he's already penetrating into the backfield. Better hope that that running play is not going up in that gap into another gap, because if it's coming up the gap where Matt Ioannidis is, like it did against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish right around the goal line, that play is stopped for a 2-yard loss just like that. So you get a lot out of Matt Ioannidis with that spin and that swim move and some rip moves. You get a lot of different moves, a lot of tools in the bag from Matt Ioannidis, not just as a run stuffer, but as a pass rusher as well. Start at the point of attack. I'm gonna lump these two in together. Start at the point of attack, takes on double teams. He's a guy that one guy's not gonna move him off the spot. Hell, I didn't even see 2 guys moving him off the spot. He was great against double teams. And so I love Matt Ioannidis and what he brings to the table in terms of being stopped. They said he could play the one tech. I don't know if I would necessarily think he's gonna be able to stand up to double teams at the next level, but he did it in college. So until you show me you can't do it at the next level, I'm all for it, man. We know what we're getting in the form of a 3-tech and a 5-tech. So I love the versatility that he brings to the table. That's another pro as well, his versatility to potentially play the 1. I know he can play the 3, and I know he can play the 5. So I feel good about Matt Ioannidis playing all up and down the defensive line and really helping us out there with our rotation. Aware defender. I hate big guys that are meatheads. Don't be a meathead, man. Go running after the quarterback. If an offensive lineman invites you into the backfield, something's up. Something's fishy, man. Sniff it out. He's a guy, okay, you running screen? I know you running screen. This is too easy, man. I know I'm good. I'm not that damn good, though. I'm going out there and I'm going to go blow some stuff up. And I seen him run with running backs and tackle them. I love this dude, man. Love Matt Ioannidis. I love aware defenders. It's one thing to be a tough, gritty, athletic football player, all that stuff. It's another thing to be smart. You gotta be smart on the football field, and Matt Ioannidis is exactly that. He's a glue guy. That's the next pro. Glue guy does the dirty work, okay? You gotta have players like this on your team that are willing to take on double teams. This is a guy, he reminds me of the Patriots' former first-round pick that they got out of Florida along their defensive line that they just actually released, that he would actually spin and turn his back to some double teams, but they wouldn't be able to move him. And so he'll stand up to double teams, stand guys up, won't move, and because of that, now the line of scrimmage hasn't moved. That running back has nowhere to go, no running space. Next thing you know, there's a group of guys around having some fun, getting that running back down for a 1-yard gain or a no gain at the line of scrimmage. So he does all the dirty work. He's a glue guy, man. He's the type of player that you need in your front 7 that's going to do all of the unheralded work. Nobody's going to give him all the accolades or all the attention, but as a player or as a fan that's very astute in watching the game, you know the value that you're getting out of this football player, because without him, a lot of the things that are happening with these other players making plays wouldn't be possible without his contribution up front in that front 7. So he's a dirty work glue guy. Relentless Motor is a final pro here. I don't worry about, look, I told you, I want the dude, and I put the key in the ignition, and I start it up, and I ain't gotta wait for 5 minutes for this dude to get lathered up. The minute I stick that key in the ignition and turn it on, I'm ready to rock and roll. This dude's giving me everything he's got from the moment I turn the switch on to the moment I turn it off. The minute they blow the whistle and the game starts, you're getting relentless effort from this dude on every single snap. I don't care if he's dead ass tired or he's just coming off the bench in a substitution role and he's fully energized and ready to go. You're getting everything this guy's got. I love his relentless motor when he's on the football field. You go to his cons. He will spin himself out of play. I told you how beautiful that spin move is. He'll spin himself right out of the damn play and open up a hole. So he's got to learn when to use it and when not to use that spin move. Doesn't collapse the pocket. I talked about Billy's collapsing the pocket. I don't think that's something you're going to get out of Matt Ioannidis. He's a guy that kind of plays high sometimes, especially when he gets tired. So he won't collapse the pocket necessarily. And that's what I want from my defensive tackle, especially on third down. But again, if he's not playing the nose, then it's not as big of an issue. I think he's going to be more of an asset to us as a 3-tech and a 5-tech. So I don't know if we're going to be asking him to play that 1-tech that often or 0. I doubt you'll see him playing 0 at all. I think you're going to see him play 1 maybe. I don't think you're going to see him playing that very often though. And he needs to refine his pass rush moves because I saw a move that I think if he could put this in his arsenal, he'll be a stud. Against Penn State, he had a rush where he took the offensive lineman, grabbed him, pushed him, then pulled him. And he got right to the backfield and got his sack against Christian Hackenberg. And that was the sack part. Fiesta, fiesta, fiesta. Fiesta, fiesta. Everybody got a sack in that game. They sacked Christian Hackenberg 10 times. He said, well, damn, y'all getting y'all sack. Let me get my damn sack, man. Put me down for one of them things, too. And he did a beautiful move. Grabbed the offensive lineman, shook him up, pushed him, pulled him out of the way, got in the backfield, got him some of that Christian Hackenberg meat. And I said, boy, if I can get you to do that more, add that to the arsenal. That could be nasty, man. Put that in a bag of tricks. And so, if he can refine that pass rush, because we got the swim, we got the spin, we got the rip, add this push-pull to it, that could be a nice little asset, a nice little trick in the back pocket you can pull out every now and again, help you get to the quarterback. So, I think he can get pressure on the quarterback as well. And 10 career sacks, I think he can elevate that at the next level and become even more dominant of a pass rusher at the next level with a little bit of fine tuning. So love this pickup of Matt Ioannidis. It's going to give us some great depth along the defensive line. You go to the 6th round, 187th pick, quarterback out of Indiana, Nate Sudfeld. So look, let me go jump into his pros. We knew we were going to get a quarterback in this draft. We already knew that. So here it is, 6'6", 234 pounds. So big, strong arm quarterback, man. Big, tall, long guy, can see over the line. Big arm, got a rocket for an arm. So you know with that rocket arm comes the next pro. Confident in abilities. Sometimes that's to a fault. So we'll talk about it a little bit later on, but he's very confident in his ability to stroke it. So you love a guy that's big, has a pocket presence about him, can also sling it, and that's Nate Sudfeld in a nutshell. Good manipulation of the pocket. For a guy that played in the spread offense, you still get to see a little bit of the footwork you need in the pocket, stepping up, shifting to the left, shifting to the right, getting out of harm's way and throwing the football. You see good manipulation of the pocket with Nate Sudfeld, and I think that's something that the coaching staff, especially Jay Gruden and everyone else, and Matt Cavanaugh and all those guys, really took a liking to and said, hey, we can work with this guy. Love this manipulation of the pocket. Sneaky, solid mobility. So he's a sneaky athlete. Look, he's not going to, knock your socks off with his ability to run, but he's not a sitting duck back there in the pocket, man. All things break down. He needs to get out of the harm's way. He can get out of there, get out of dodge, and pick up 3 or 4 yards, and he can slide. So that's also an added benefit as well. He's a tough guy. He takes some shots in that pocket, man. And I'm going to go ahead and lump this in with the next pro. Willing to stare down the gun barrel, man. Go look at that Duke game, okay? The bowl game, the final game he played in college against Duke. He's sitting in his own end zone. Threw a deep ball the play before that he should have hit, he missed. They go back to that same play. He's staring down the gun barrel, 3rd and long. He's in his own end zone. A free runner coming at him. He's about to get whaled, and he knows it. And he's staring down that gun barrel. Oh, hell. Here it comes. He knows it's coming. Lets it go. Throws a beautiful deep ball right into the arms of his receiver 40 yards down the field, they pick up about 50 yards on the play. He's not afraid to take shots, and that's where that toughness comes into play. This man's not afraid, and he's not scary, as a wise man once said to me. So there's a lot to like there with Nate Sudfeld. When he's in the pocket, he's not afraid to take a shot, stare down the gum barrel, and still deliver the football. Can throw on a move. He can get out the pocket on these bootlegs. He can get out on these rollouts, and he can deliver the football down the field again when you got a strong arm that usually comes with the package. When you got a strong arm, you can get on the move, get outside the pocket, and still hit guys. And he's pretty accurate when he does that as well. So you go to his next pro, and he played in a progression-based offense. So a lot of times with these spread offense quarterbacks, they're not making a lot of reads. It's really a lot of trickery, fake handoff here, and fake throws, a bunch of hitches out to the wide sides of the field, and just getting the football out of their hands quickly. Not a lot of reading the fields. They completely take one half of the field out of the read and out of the progression, and it's really quick, and guys are running wide open because of all the ball fakes and all of the ghost action and all the things that are going on. And with him, it was sort of a pro-style offense. It still was the spread. Not a lot of under center snaps for him, but you could see him, okay, first read not there, second read not there, okay, check it down to the back out of the backfield. So he was in a progression-based offense, which to me is a really good thing for him, making the transition from college quarterback to NFL pro. You go to his cons. He will predetermine throws, and that's something that I saw him do quite a bit, and I think that is in part to the strong arm, okay? I got a strong arm. I can get it in there. I see those two defenders sitting there, but they can't get there faster than I can zing it in there, so I'm going to throw it anyway, and you'll get mistakes that way, and you would see him predetermine some throws. He should have had more than the 7 picks he had last year. If you watch the tape, he could have been picked off another 3 or 4 times, but because his arm is so big and he's rifling the football in there, guys weren't able to hold on to some throws that they probably should have picked off of him. But he will predetermine some throws. Okay, this is my first read. He should be open. I'm gonna throw it anyway. The next con, he's inconsistent. All right, and you go look at the 2 games that I was really interested in. He played in the Michigan game. I watched that tape. Not really a lot there. But the Michigan State tape was huge, and the Duke game and his bowl game was huge for me as well. And I looked at those 2 tapes and I said, man, there were some throws in both of those games that took your breath away, where you were like, wow, I mean, this guy has it. And then there were some throws in those same ball games where you said, you can't do that, Nate. You can't do that. What are you looking at, man? So, and that's what you get with a 6th-round quarterback. You get the throws that take your breath away, and that same breath that just got taken away, you get those throws that make you shake your head and scratch it and say, what are you doing, man? You can't do that. So, Nate Sudfeld, no different. Inconsistencies. And I think if you can eliminate those throws and decisions, you're going to have a guy that can stroke it at the next level. Spread offense, I don't want to harp on it too much. You play in the spread offense, not a lot of under the center work, so you're not going to see the 3-step drop and the 5-step drop and the 7 with a hitch. You're not going to see any of that stuff. So I don't really want to harp on that too much, but he plays in the spread offense. But then again, who does it these days in college football? Holds on to the ball too long sometimes, and that's his final con. I think of the Duke game, the final play of the game. They're driving down with a chance to win the ball game in overtime, and they're in field goal range already, and there's no reason to take a sack here. And look, you see the pressure come and get rid of the football, and he just holds on to it sometimes too long trying to make a play. I've seen him fumble doing that before. I've seen him take sacks, and in that particular play, they called it for intentional grounding, which they should have. And he saw the rush coming, and he just held on to the ball too long. Get rid of the football. And that's something that I think he's got to eliminate. Make decisions faster, speed up the process in your head, make decisions faster, quicker, get rid of the football. But all in all, I like Nate Sudfeld. I think in 2 years' time, he's going to be taking Colt McCoy's position as our backup quarterback. And one thing I like about backup quarterbacks, give me a guy that something's going to happen when he comes in the game, okay? I want a guy that when he comes in the game, something good or something bad is going to happen. But guess what? Something's going to happen. That's what I want in my backup quarterback. Don't give me the steady Eddie guy. Don't give me the guy that if you're down by 14, he can't bring you back. Because he's just a steady Eddie quarterback. If things are going well, he might be able to do something. But if things are going pretty bad, he's not going to come in and change your fortunes. I need a guy that's going to come in and have the ability to be a gunslinger and not be afraid of the moment and be able to do some things. If you down by 17 and he comes in the game, hell, this game's not over because this dude can come in and stroke it. He may play you out into a game, he may play you out of a game, but that's the job of a quarterback that's coming off the bench, is to come in and give the team exactly what they need. If you up by 14 and the quarterback gets hurt, then you don't need to come in and be a gunslinger. You just need to come in and steady the ship. If you down by 14, I need you to come in and change the game for me. And so I think Nate Sudfeld has all the tools and abilities to be able to do that at the next level. You go to our 7th round pick. It's 232nd pick. We had 2 7th rounders. 232nd pick out of Boston College. We select inside linebacker Steven Daniels. You hear our general manager say this all the time.
Football players.
And this guy is exactly
football player.
And so I'm going to tell you right now, I fully expect Steven Daniels to not only make our roster, but I expect him to be starting at linebacker for us in about 2 or 3 years. That's how much I think of this guy watching him on tape. 5'11", 243-pound linebacker. His first pro, he's a downhill thumper, all right? He's one of these guys, not flashy, not pretty. He's just gonna come down, he's gonna hit you. I mean, I see a lot of heads rocking back. A lot of offensive linemen getting a shock and a jolt to the body when Steven Daniels makes contact with him. I mean, he's coming down and you just boom! And you see an offensive lineman kind of shake, body getting a little bit of joltage. And I think this guy's got a lot of shock and violence in his hands. He's a physical football player, and you can tell he enjoys the game. He enjoys the contact. He enjoys the physicality. And he's not afraid, man. You want guys like this. You need physical thumpers like this on your football team. Smart. And you can be as physical as you want, but remember what I said when I talked about Matt Ioannidis and him being an aware football player? Same thing applies here with Steven Daniels. Smart, physical, and instinctive football player. Look, when you slump and you're not the greatest athlete as Steven Daniels is, not a great athlete, okay? Not very fast, not very athletic, which is why he's a 7th round pick. If you go look at his production and what he meant to that Boston College defense that was, oh, by the way, one of the best defenses in all of college football, you go look at what he meant to that defense, and you'll say this guy has 2nd round talent. Why is he here in the 7th round? Because he's not an athlete. He doesn't match up with what today's NFL linebacker looks like, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on, but what he is a smart, physical, and instinctive football player. You can't teach those things. Either you are smart on the football field, either you are instinctive on the football field, either you are physical on the football field, or you're not. You can't teach those things. Either you got it or you don't. He's got all 3 of them, which makes him a dangerous man when he's on the football field. Tough as nails. All right, again, I've already spoken to this. I don't want to beat a dead horse. The dude is tough as hell, okay? He's coming down, he's tackling guys, he's coming down, he's taking on offensive linemen, he's coming downhill, and he's hitting somebody. Somebody's gonna pay. I mean, I can't tell you how many plays at the end, offensive lineman and him are engaged, and he's pushing that lineman back into the pile, and it takes one arm, pushes his ass down on the ground. Like, all right, I'm done with you now. Like, he's physical, tough as nails. Start at the point of attack. When this guy engages you at the line of scrimmage, you're not moving him back. That's just not happening. Okay? Steven Daniels is coming with a head full of steam, and he's coming to blow somebody up. And when he makes contact, you going backwards, or y'all stalemate, but he's not going backwards. That's for damn sure. Okay? He's stout at the point of attack. One of the best run-stuffing linebackers in this entire draft class. Kirk Olivadotti, our linebackers coach, told him that, and the players all called Kirk Olivadotti KO, told him that he was his favorite, told Steven Daniels, you're my favorite linebacker in this entire draft class, and if we get a chance, we're going to take you. And he told him that just 2 weeks ago when they met up in Washington, and it came to fruition. Kirk Olivadotti KO got his wish, and now Steven Daniels is the Washington Redskins. He stacks and sheds. He's a guy that you'll see him take on a blocker, keep that outside arm free, shed him, get into play, make a tackle. I can't tell you how many times, countless times, I saw him do that on tape. Very impressive to see Steven Daniels make some of the plays that he made when he was on the football field. This guy is outstanding and very aggressive in terms of getting to the ball carrier. Effective blitzer. He's a guy that blitzed quite a bit when at Boston College, whether it's up the A gap or on the outside, around the edge. There's a play against Notre Dame to me that is what personifies him as a blitzer. He comes from the outside, he's unblocked, they didn't think he could get there, and so he comes all the way backside, blows up, okay, so it's a read option play. They fake the handoff, to the running back. He blows the running back up, throws him out of the way. The quarterback keeps it, gets to the outside. Stephen Daniels tracks him from the backside after getting rid of the running back who he hit first initially on the play, and then gets the quarterback, pops the ball loose. They ultimately ruled it not a fumble, but he had forced a fumble on that play. But it was just a magnificent play, and to me, a microcosm of what you get from Stephen Daniels on snap to snap and the type of effort that you get, and that shows that he's an effective blitzer as well. And that just shows his smarts and all the things that he brings to the table. I think you can encapsulate all of that on that one play versus Notre Dame on that read option. The guy is a playmaker. Pass rush ability. I think that you can, in certain situations, and this is part of him being an effective blitzer, you can send this guy as an edge rusher and he can get to the quarterback. I've seen him do this a couple of times. And he's got this move with his hands where he engages the offensive lineman with his hands and slaps their hands out of the way. And you know, once you get an offensive lineman off balance with their hands, you've won. And I saw him win in numerous occasions, blitzing or rushing as a pass rusher in like a 4-3 under front, where he's lined up at defensive end, standing up, and almost like a 4-3 under front, and boom, you know what I mean? Win off of the line of scrimmage with his hands and get in the backfield and create havoc. So I saw him force an interception that way on a blitz. I saw him get to the quarterback for a sack like that. I seen him force pressure and a throwaway like that. So I'm impressed with what he brings to the table as a pass rusher too. And last pro, short tackle. This guy tackles like nobody's business. I love that from him and what he brings to the table from that regard. He doesn't miss, okay? He's one of those guys that just simply flat out does not miss as a tackler. And you can't understate that. You can't overstate that either enough. You got a guy that when he gets to the ball carrier, puts him on the ground, that counts for a lot in my book. And so you go to his cons, and really the cons aren't that big for me. I mean, there's one in particular that stands out, and the other one is sort of a branch off of the first con. And so, doesn't possess modern linebacker size or athleticism. That's the one that made him a 7th round pick. If this guy was 6'1", 243 pounds, and he ran a 4.65, he would have been a 2nd round pick. Might even made it into the 1st round because of what you see on the football field from him. His play is 2nd round worthy. His size and stature and athleticism is 7th round worthy, and that's why he's still sitting here for the Redskins to select at the 232nd pick in the draft. Okay, he's not a great athlete. 4.86 40. Okay, not wowing anybody with that, not tracking anybody down with that, but because he's so smart and he's instinctive, he plays faster than 4.86. Okay, so don't let the speed and all that stuff fool you. When guys are smart, they watch tape, they study, they recognize what's happening before it happens, and they can react before it starts to happen. Guess what? That 4.86 looks more like a 4.71 now, and he's all over. So I don't have any doubts in my mind that this guy's going to be successful in the National Football League. First, he's going to be successful as a special teamer for us. He's going to make this roster. You bet your ass he's going to make this roster. Not only is he going to make the roster, give him 2 years, he's probably going to be starting an inside linebacker for us. Watch what I tell you. He's a 2-down linebacker. That's the final con. And again, he doesn't have to be. If this guy shows the ability, because I saw him run and do some things, I saw him get an interception versus Notre Dame. I saw him run. He's not overly athletic though. If you put him in some bad spots, he's gonna get toasted, all right, and roasted as a coverage linebacker. But if you allow this guy to be smart and if he's studying and he's doing all the things that I've seen him do at the collegiate level, this guy's gonna be able to stay on the field all 3 downs. So I'm confident in Stephen Daniels and what he brings to the table. We'll see what happens with him as the Redskins made him a 7th round pick. And the final pick in the draft for the Redskins, the 7th and final pick in this draft, 7th round, 242nd pick overall in the draft. The Redskins select running back Keith Marshall out of Georgia. Now this is a guy that we all know him of combine fame, and so 5'11", 219 is his size. Blazing fast is the first pro. 4.29 40 at his pro day. 4.3 140 at the combine. So we all know about what this guy is and the freak that he is in terms of his speed. Speed! Can't teach it either. You got it or you don't. This guy has it in spades. So I think that's something that attracted him to the Redskins. Next pro, better balance than I expected. Okay, I went into this thing thinking he was going to be a guy that, because again, when you run that fast, if you're a running back, I don't care what kind of injuries you have. If you're that fast in a straight line and you're a running back and you have any type of ability, you're going in the 5th round, you're going in the 4th round. Somebody's going to take a flyer on you earlier than that. So I didn't expect him to have balance. I didn't expect him to have great feet or anything like that. And he had better balance than I thought. I saw him bounce off a couple of tackles, keep his feet, shuffle behind an offensive lineman, use blocks, set him up. So he had better balance than I thought he was going to have going into the tape. This is why watching tape is so important, because you can go in with preconceived notions of what somebody else tells you a guy is supposed to be, and you actually watch the tape and you figure out for yourself that, hey man, there's more to the story than what I was told. And that's one of those situations. He had a lot better balance than I gave him credit for going into this process. He's a tougher runner than I thought he was going to be too. He's a guy that will go in there, run between the tackles. For a guy that's running 4.29, 4.31, you expect him to want to bounce everything to the outside. This guy will put his shoulder pads down, put his head down, and get what's there as well. So I think there's something to be said about how tough he is as a runner. He's an able pass catcher. And the thing that I think he can do for us this upcoming year, if he's able to crack this roster, is, you know how we use Matt Jones? Who? Matt Jones! Last year as our backup running back behind Alfred Morrison, how he was the guy that was catching all the screen passes, and we did a really good job blocking screens last year. Our screen game last year was outstanding. I didn't think we did the screen game enough because I thought we were really good at it. And I think, remember how successful Matt Jones was in that role for us last year? The Saints game comes to mind first and foremost when I think of screens and how good we were. Keith Marshall is a guy that I think we can get in the screen game, and with that speed, if he gets a crease, he will outrun some angles and score some touchdowns for us. And nothing's better than a 63-yard touchdown that starts with a 2-yard pass. I mean, those are awesome, right? So I would love it if we could get him out in space, give him some space to operate, and allow him to show that explosion and that burst, and allow him to get into the end zone. He is a guy that can catch the football. Solid agility. I didn't think his agility was all that great, but I thought it was better, again, better than I expected. I went into this thinking this guy was going to be a stiff with straight line speed, and that's it. I saw some agility here, the ability to cut, the ability to make a guy miss a little bit. Not really, but enough to keep his balance and not fall down as soon as he gets contacted every time he gets hit. And so, saw some solid agility, man. And again, a 7th round pick, take it for what it's worth, but I thought he was a little bit better than what I expected. Some burst through the hole. When you run a 4.29, there's burst there. I don't have to explain that to you. You understand that concept. The guy's explosive, and if he gets a seam and he hits it, he can go all the way. So that's the final pro. His cons: straight line speed guy. Look, he is a guy that runs in a straight line really, really fast. And you say, well, why is that a con? Because he's not a guy that can change directions and keep his top speed. He's got to slow down a little bit, and I've seen him get caught and shoestring because he had to slow down just to change directions a little bit. If he could keep his speed in and out of cuts, this guy's a 4th round pick. But he's a straight line guy, and there's a number of other things that teams don't like about him, which is what made him a 7th round pick. Doesn't make you miss is the next con. He's not a guy that's out in space freaking dudes and shaking them out their draws and making them pick their ankle and their ACL up off the floor. That's not his game. That's not what he's doing. He's a guy that's gonna run straight, and if he can outrun your ankle, he will. If he can power through your tackle, he will. He's looking to outrun you though. He's not looking to make you miss. That's not his game. He's not gonna shake you, plant one foot here and then juke you and go the other way. He's not spin moving, none of that stuff. Which leads into my next con. Doesn't appear to have innate running back traits. And what I mean by that is when you see running backs that come into the league and they are explosive and dynamic runners, what you'll find with those guys is that they do things that just happen. You know, they see a defender and they react to him. You know, whether it's Barry Sanders spinning on 2 defenders so he can get by him, or it's Adrian Peterson shaking a dude and then stiff arming and hip tossing him out of bounds. You know, he didn't possess any of that stuff, man. He's not going to hit you with a shady jump cut at the line of scrimmage and juke you and shake free. He's not the guy that you can leave an unblocked defender in the backfield and he's going to make a miss and pick up 6 yards on a play that looked like it was doomed from the start for a 2-yard loss. That's not his game. So he doesn't appear to have those innate running back traits, vision. There was one play, I'm watching him, and I said, man, you got speed, get all the way to the outside. There was a cutback lane all the way to the outside. He cut it back one gap, and he stopped one gap too soon, and he got all the way to the outside. I think he could have outran that linebacker and got to the outside and maybe beat him in a foot race and beat the safety in a foot race and score a touchdown. Instead, he cut it back just one gap instead of two, and he got tackled. And I said, man, that's that vision. You don't have that feel to just get all the way to the outside, use that speed that you got, and outrun everybody. And the biggest con for him, he tore his ACL in 2013. He came back in 2014. It didn't heal properly. He only played in 3 games and had to sit out the rest of the season. So he's a guy that you worry about durability with him. You worry about, is he the same guy? Because before the injury, before the torn ACL, go look at his 2012 tape. Dude is explosive, man. I mean, he's splitting seams. He's outrunning guys. His best season was his freshman season. Okay, and you never want to hear that about a player because you want progression. You want him to get better as time passes. Well, his best season was his first season. And so you're looking for him to get back to that running back. And you're hoping that a year under his belt in 2015, playing, getting some touches, and getting confidence back in that knee is going to lead to him getting back to the player that he once was back in 2012. I actually like this pick in the 7th round. I know a lot of people who don't like this pick. I actually do like this pick because he has something you can't teach. And I think he has more running ability. This guy was the #1 rated running back out of high school in 2012. Same class with Todd Gurley and all those dudes. He was #1, okay? He reminds me a lot of the Frank Gore story at the U. Remember, Frank Gore was the man with Clinton Portis and Willis McGahee and all those dudes that was there. Frank Gore was the one that was the best out of all of them. But he got injured, and so Clinton Portis got to shine and Willis McGahee got to shine. But Frank Gore was the one that they wanted the most. He was the one they recruited the most. And so I see that kind of quality now. He's not Frank Gore. Don't get it twisted, right? But the man is talented enough that he was the #1 rated running back in his high school class coming out in 2011, going to college in 2012 with Todd Gurley and others. So that tells you the dude is talented. He's got some ability. I just want to see that manifest itself, something here in DC, because I think he's the type of guy that can do some things. And I think he's going to be a lot better for us. If he gets a chance and he's able to stay healthy, I think he can be a lot better than people are giving him credit for. I'm anxious to see how he does in the burgundy and gold because I'm rooting for him because he can bring an element that we currently lack in our backfield, and that is pure, unadulterated speed. So that's the Redskins 2016 NFL Draft class. Tell me what you think. Look, Trent Murphy's moving to 5 tech. Okay, he's going to the defensive line. I think the D line is fine, man. I don't think that we underrated that position or underdrafted it. I think we're fine. We got a number of guys. I just gave you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys. Plus Trent Murphy's going to the D line. That's 9 guys vying for probably what's going to be 7 spots on the D line. A couple dudes not going to make it, man. I think we're deep enough there. We're going to have a much better year at defensive line. I think running back, I'm really intrigued by Keith Marshall. I know a lot of people weren't a fan of that pick. I actually love that pick, okay? I think we're going to be fine. I love this draft. I think Scott McCloughan did a magnificent job of not only getting assets for the future, but getting us players that can help us now, but into the future. We're building a bully over here. It takes time. And I think this draft is going to help us build that bully. And as we continue to move along in our process, we got a quarterback. We got the offense that we need. We got playmakers at all the skill positions offensively. Now, the key is can we build that defense up? And I think this draft is going to go a long way in helping us do exactly that. I am a Redskins fan. Ashton Burgundy and Gold. My Redskins spirit will never die. Redskins spirit will never fold until we meet again. Hey! To our beloved Redskins. That's the 2016 NFL Draft for the Washington Redskins. Tell me what you think. I will see you, family members, next time. There's plenty more where that came from. While you're here, subscribe to the channel. If you want more Louie T, be sure to follow me on Twitter at @InTheLabRoom, or you can like the Facebook page at In The Lab Room. That's In The Lab Room on Facebook and at In The Lab Room on Twitter. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. The Redskins Report.